people, they behave on weekend as if they have just come from the moon. All of a sudden, the same people you know, they behave differently come the weekend.
We agreed both that there are so many up-and-coming young, poor black rugby players that will never be given an opportunity. And he had given many scholarships out to them.
I don't think there's nothing else left for me to stay back here doing. I've got family, they want me alive. I don't want to go home dead.
If I have to take Polifan Vic to court, I have to go and ask my brothers to come and finance that. And then, hey, this is for Malema's benefit.
VBS.
The VBS money is being used to go to court.
I'm very educated. I'm the main man. I can tell you, in the SABC, no one was better than me, even if they advertise it.
We need to stop this thing in its tracks before serious action is taken against us.
Our government cannot allow for people to come from anywhere and everywhere and come into this country without documentation, without indicating why they are here.
The murder rate has continued to climb for an 8th consecutive year. 21,022 people were killed between April last year and March this year. Many murders take place at the weekend.
Why people, they behave on weekend as if they have just come from the moon. All of a sudden, the same people you know, they behave differently come the weekend.
Attempted murder is also on the rise. Sexual crimes are up 4.6%. Again, Nyanga in Cape Town tops the list of the country's murder hotspots.
What makes murder high in Western Cape and in the Cape Flat mostly? We have been saying this thing, that crime is not just policing and the law enforcement agencies only. There is a big portion that must be played by what we call environmental design.
The Institute for Security Studies says more targeted interventions are needed.
Focus, don't try to be everywhere at once, don't celebrate the idea of general visibility, be visible where you need to be visible, address the people who are known to be repeat offenders, but at the same time to address long-term trends in South Africa, we have to marry that policing with social interventions that address our violence-accepting norms, which lead us to continually solve problems with violence.
Police say they are looking at producing statistics at shorter intervals to make it easier to respond to crimes. Lindsay Dentlinger, Parliament.
On Tuesday, the 8-year-old survivor of the Dros rape was performing a school concert. But on Wednesday morning, the little girl had a very different task, telling a closed court about her rape ordeal last year when she was 7. This is the TV monitor her testimony appeared on, broadcast from a separate room. The NPA says she did well, refuting some of the testimony of the accused.
You remember that in his plea explanation, he says he acted impulsively. And as the state, we had to prove to this court that he had an intention when he followed the child. Because in his statement, he says, the child found me in the bathroom. But we are glad that the child came and gave testimony that says he's the one who followed me to the bathroom. So we had to prove intention that by following the child, he already had an intention to go and harm the child.
While she was giving testimony, there was anger outside court.
We feel very sad and more abused because a minor is forced to give evidence before the court, and that's secondary victimization.
The media were allowed back into court once the girl had finished her testimony. Then the court heard from her mother, whose identity was protected. Speaking through a translator, she too had to relive that awful day.
When I picked her up, while I was carrying her, I realized that there was blood on her skirt. There's no parent who will have allowed to see what I have witnessed. Emotionally, I'm not okay with what I have witnessed. And my Lord, it seems as if the witness is crying from the other side.
Heartbreak in the courtroom that'll hopefully be eased somewhat with a successful conviction. On Thursday, the court will hear closing arguments. Both the girl and her mother remain in counseling, a year since the rape. Aviwe Mtila, Pretoria.
Imagine a South Africa without women or girls. What would our schools look like? Our workplaces or our streets?
Pupils at Bernardino Heights High School in Kraaifontein have been having candid discussions like this about violence against girls and women.
Why we've chosen to do this awareness program is so that we can allow other people from the community to see that we are actually really serious about this, and to also teach our fellow brothers who are here in the school to know that it is wrong to do this.
Teachers at the school want to turn recent news into something constructive.
We actually started the whole thing of, let's continue having this, let's challenge ideals, let's challenge perceptions, let's challenge gender norms, let's challenge societal norms.
Meanwhile, some women decided to stay at home for the day, asking South Africa to imagine a world without us.
Taking ourselves out of it, they can actually realize our value. Because the way we bring about our nature as a female to a workspace really changes the dynamics of a workplace.
Monique Mortlock, Cape Town.
It
was an extremely abusive relationship. There was a lot of control. I was locked into my room at times. I was beaten so many times. I've had broken ribs. My nose was broken. I had fractures. I lost 2 babies during that time.
I wasn't really allowed to work. I wasn't allowed to speak to the neighbors, really. Wasn't allowed to go outside, even stand close to the fence. Wasn't really allowed to go to my mom, or even have money for that matter.
Harrowing stories of South African women who survived gender-based violence. A 28-year-old who asked that we cover her identity says she didn't go to the police because she wanted to save her one-year relationship. Celeste Samsudin says a protection order against her partner of 7 years did nothing for her. The man is now behind bars, but Samsudin's story could have been different if the criminal justice system had worked in her favor.
How much courage it takes to get a protection order in the first place. Once a woman goes for a protection order, there should be some type of program for the male to go to. We are taking all the women out of their houses, we're putting them in shelters. The men are staying in their house, finding someone else to abuse.
Lynn Sandries was shot several times by her ex-husband. The man had been issued a protection order but went ahead anyway. He is now in jail for attempted murder.
Even with an interdict, the perpetrators or these guys just think they can just do whatever they want. And the whole thing why I got shot was because he wasn't prepared to stay with me with an interdict. In other words, he wanted to feel free to lift his hand at any given time.
Government says it will pull out all the stops to ensure women's safety. Re-evaluating protection orders will be of utmost importance for defenseless women in the country. An average of 8 of them become victims of gender-based violence daily. Ronald Masinda, Cape Town.
Demanding a change of behavior from men. This is one of the things the ANC Youth League in KZN is calling for.
We must take a stand and call upon every man to understand the damage they are doing to our society, to understand the damage they are doing to our women. It is only on this basis that we must not say women must speak out, but we must say men must speak out.
The Youth League wants better policing.
The first thing that we require is the issue of speedy arrest of the one who's accused. Second part is that at the police station, they must create the environment to be conducive for women to feel safe once they report the matter.
Men and women who gathered say enough is enough.
Engathi abantu abadlungulayo iminyaka yabo yokuboshwa jele ingaqala ku-25.
Uhulumeni asize kubafana abasebancane asilekelele emakhaya ukuthi bafundiswe indlela yokuyiphatha.
Newly elected eThekwini Deputy Mayor Belinda Scott says the city will consider the demands.
We take what they have given us very seriously. We are going to be working as a metro together with provincial and national government in order to make our streets, our universities, our schools a safer environment for women and children.
The Youth League says it will continue to pressure government to ensure no woman has to continue asking, am I next? Mawande Keswa, Durban.
It's impossible to have your eyes trained to your children all the time. So how do you keep track of them? There are a number of apps that can help. One of the most common is WhatsApp. You can share a live location that tracks your movement. Another is Logtransi. It lets you see where your child is in real time while being transported to and from school. Monitoring your child's online activity can just be as important. Kaspersky Save Kids lets you control your child's smartphone. After installing the app, you can block certain websites or downloading of apps. Maxikosi is a company that deals with child car safety. It's highlighting the importance of parents knowing where their children are.
We've been giving a lot of accountability and trust and responsibility to people other than ourselves as parents. So what we're trying to do is we're saying, firstly, parents need to take accountability and trust and responsibility for their kids. And that's not just speaking to other people and asking them to look after your kids. We need to start looking at digital mediums as well, where we've got tracking on our kids.
He says using these apps makes parenting easier.
We've all got busy and active lifestyles, and having to cope with a number of things at the same time. Work, dropping off our kids. You've got web monitoring software for monitors and stuff for kids at different creches and stuff, utilizing Wi-Fi. So those are the type of things that we would say definitely can help us.
This, he says, is one way to ensure you can carry on with life while still making sure your children are safe. Dros, Johannesburg.
I lecture at the universities. I wonder how many people who are saying I'm uneducated. Even at the Vets Business School. I lecture, and my lectures about leadership, they have turned them as part of their syllabus.
If I have to take Polifan Veik to court, I have to go and ask my brothers to come and finance that. And then, hey, this is for Malema's benefit. VBS money is being used to go to court.